So I will call this meeting to order. Nice to see you all again. Nice summer break. I hope everyone had a good time in the woods and out visiting the farms. Just before we get going, I want to make a motion to approve our minutes from June 5th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. First, on our agenda, I know I got a text from Stuart is gonna actually be visiting tonight to
Okay.
talk a little bit more about farmers market thoughts. So if we can let that float in the agenda until he shows up. But he said he'd be here in person. But first updates was just town property visits, which I know you were working on scheduling, Shelby, for this October, correct?
Yeah, so we've got it for Friday, October 20th.
Okay.
Great.
Jim Jordan can come. Colin Meddy unfortunately would not be able to come, but the critical person is Jim.
Jim, okay.
And just one thought I had, we talked about possibly managing for old growth characteristics. And the fires in Hawaii made me think also about really looking at what the invasives are there. And if there's a way to cut down or get rid of that low shrub layer so it's not such a fire hazard, I think that would be important too.
We'll make a note of that.
Yeah,
And to be clear, this is the, which property is this, to make sure everyone knows?
the Stockbridge Mountain.
Yeah, okay. Because that was the one that they talked about, having a quarter of it down low seemed to be a lot of
A
invasives
lot
near
of
the road.
invasives in there, yeah. I'm not sure what they were, but yeah, it'd be nice to, if they could clean that up, I think that'd be
Yeah.
great. Can you come to that?
Yes, agree on the 20th.
Oh, good.
Great.
So make sure, remind me so I can put an agenda out there, because I won't be able to attend it.
Okay,
So make sure we make it as a public meeting. We'll put a place where we're gonna meet, and make sure that, discussions, it's just, questions until you get back to a public area where if anyone is show up, so for accessibility. Because I remember this is when we did it last time. We went and then we ended up having to move it.
Because it was so icy.
Because it was so icy. So especially since I don't think it's not an easy hike without any trails or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll want to make sure that if there are people that show up and can't do it or any part of the hike,
Yep.
that it's questions out in the woods and then discussion on the way back. And we'll have notes, if it's a quorum, if it's all three of you.
yeah,
So just be aware, we'll keep that posted.
yeah.
So you'll post it.
I'll post it, yeah, but just help me remember and we'll make sure that it's all done in.
And we are allowed to have a real meeting on site with discussion and all that,
You can, yeah,
with the quorum.
As long
yeah,
as,
as long as we're, yeah, as far as I can
I
understand,
think we can't make a decision.
Yeah.
Right? But we're talking
on
about.
site visit,
Already posted,
gotcha,
so the general public can show up and have
Right.
a discussion if you want.
Yep,
You probably don't want to make a formal vote there.
right. I don't think we can decide anything, but we can talk.
Cover all bases.
yeah, cover all the bases just in case. But then I think at our next meeting, we'll come back and have a listening session and find out what you all heard.
Yeah.
And we can go over that then.
I'm sorry you can't be there.
Well,
But
you know,
Yeah.
our busy season, everyone, thinks of it as just the summer, but I mean, the amount of kale I pull out of the fields come December is,
Appreciated.
I like to hear that. So that, being said too, I think, let me just, I'm pulling up my agenda here. All right, any other thoughts about the site visits?
Would it be in the morning?
Yeah,
Oh, it would be probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, awesome.
which doesn't give, in October, it's not a lot of light.
No.
Is that the time they want it?
Well, I'll check with Jeff.
Yeah, if it
That's- I
start
thought-
earlier, I think it'd be
Yeah.
better.
I'll ask him. I know when we talked about it earlier, that's when he said he would be comfortable, but,
Okay, I mean, we'll go with him, but
yeah, but that was when we were talking about doing it in the spring, so.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll,
because it'll
nail it down with
it'll
him.
be getting dark.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it doesn't become like a 3-hour tour or anything like that.
I think he was expected to be about 2 hours.
Okay, all right. No Gilligan Island fans. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so now, Stuart, perfect timing. We'll move on to looking at the farmer's market, 2024, and kind of also what you've been up to,
So, okay,
this year. But,
the main thing,
and also, do you want to come up here and
Oh.
introduce yourself, just so, for our recording here? Yeah.
you want me to sit here in general?
You can, yeah, you can. sit.
Oh, all right. Stuart Kelso.
Yep.
My official designation is Stockbridge Farmers Market Manager. Since we already concluded that we weren't doing a farmer's market in 2023, I started working along with Andrea Lindsay, the director of the Stockbridge Housing Authority, and Berkshire Bounty to bring food directly to low-income seniors at Heaton Court who don't have cars, which is what we were sort of identifying as the priority group that would need food. And so we have had that up and running now since July 13th. Every week, Berkshire Bounty rolls up, drops off a bunch of boxes of food, and then I distribute them to the people who responded to the survey that they needed food. The benefit of all this is that Berkshire Bounty is giving people free food, which is in one sense, one step better than the farmer's market. Free food right to their doors. The, of course, slight downside is that they don't get a choice of what they get. It's all good food, it's good quality food, but they take what's available. However, I always talk to the people I'm delivering food to make sure that it's what they want. They're actually eating it, that, you know, it's actually serving the purpose it's supposed to serve. And for the most part, people are saying yes. Because, you know, a few years ago, I guess there was some sort of a program there delivering food to people, but it was such low quality that a lot of people were throwing it away. And that seems like a silly thing. So we now have a program that's working. People are in fact eating it. I talk to people and, you know, if people get a little too much, they share it with somebody. If they don't get enough, that's what we're asking them, because we can probably get more for them. So that seems to be working well. It's somewhat limited at this point, but it is serving the people that appear to be most in need in Stockbridge. I'm not aware of if there's anybody else in Stockbridge going hungry or not. I don't think there is, but I don't necessarily know that. That's a little out of my scope. But we have taken care of what we think is the people that would have been most in need. So as far as the Farmers Market 2024, I have been talking informally with various vendors and farmers during the course of the summer, most of whom, the feedback I'm getting is, talk to us in the fall. Everyone's very busy and focused on the markets and all this stuff, but so I'm starting in probably mid-September is when I'm really going to be contacting pretty much everybody that I think might have an interest that's in this book here, the Berkshire Grown Market book, and surveying them. You know, are you definitely interested? Are you definitely uninterested? Do you need more information? So I want to make sure I understand that what I'm going to be telling them is that there are no vendor's fees. That's correct, right?
Yep, for this year, yeah.
How about for 2024?
Oh, 2024.
Right, no, okay, no vendor fees for 2024. And it will be running approximately mid-July to end of August. Is that what it is? Is that the idea? Or you want to?
Well, I think, Eric, we talked about this. The original thought was, 4 to 6 weeks the first year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
4 week, the 4 weeks would give it a proof of concept. And if it's successful, then we can expand it. But if you want to do 6 weeks, I don't know, that's, 50% more commitment.
I'm wondering, in such a short period of time, are people actually going to kind of become aware of it? It takes people usually a while to know that something exists and word of mouth or however you're advertising. I mean, is 4 weeks long enough? I don't know.
well, I think to that point, I think I agree with Eric. Maybe it's a proposal to when you're surveying.
Find out.
Find out if 4 or 6 weeks is better for them for commitment wise.
Okay.
But I mean, I think getting the word out, it's going to be upon us getting the word out early. Not just once it starts. We're gonna have to talk maybe with the town, the Chamber of Commerce, and see if they might have a little oomph they could put behind it to get the word out
They certainly will.
with signage and.
Well, also just to make sure that we're in all the listings.
Right.
So, the beginning of summer where, the Eagle has, a whole section on it. And,
Right.
Just, make sure that we're in there.
Right.
So, yeah, Chamber of Commerce is great for that.
And maybe Stockbridge updates.
Stockbridge
Do
update
a little,
and that book too. To get into that.
Yeah.
Is there another meeting in October,
Yeah.
October 12th or something, or what is
The
it?
first Monday.
Usually
First Monday of October? I'm going to hope to have some reasonably good feedback from farmers and vendors by that time. That might be a little early. People may want a little bit longer time to think about it, but I think I can have at least a pretty good sense of where it's headed,
and you had talked about Blue Hill being
possibly.
being the magnet.
Well, the anchor,
anchor.
what I know is Indian Line won't be the anchor. And the other big market, the other big anchor down in Great Barrington was Morningstar. They're not going to do it for sure because they pulled out of Barrington. And that leaves, I think it's called Mark Christo. And I've talked to them and they're like, maybe, we'll see, who knows, they were very sort of lukewarm about it, and they were kind of saying, hey, check in with us September, October.
Right.
If you want to try to, and those are the only 3 anchor farms I'm really aware of. If anybody else knows any others, great, but if none of those 3 want to do it, you'd have to decide if you want to go forward with no anchors, really, with just smaller producers. And, I guess if I was a farmer, I guess I would be, what I know is that the main stumbling block for people is they're already pretty darn busy and they already have all their systems in place and staffing is an issue. Okay, so we're going to hire more people. We're going to get our people to come in and work at this Stockbridge thing. And is it really, when it first starts up, and are we going to be lucky to break even? What are we going to do? So they have all these concerns. And I think that's a lot of, that right there is a lot of the concern of people.
So who's in Lee and who's the anchor in Lee?
The anchor in Lee, who is the anchor?
Good question.
Well, this is going to be a little different market than every other place. You're not going to have any crafts.
Right.
You have no crafts at this market. So if you go, I've only been to the Lee market very little actually.
And I haven't been.
But the West Stockbridge market and the Lenox market, it's a lot of crafts,
Right.
and so it's not,
There's this-
if you stripped away the crafts out of those markets, you wouldn't have hardly
Right.
a market. You just wouldn't. So I don't actually, I think that in a sense, Lennox and West Stockbridge are existing without a real farmer anchor.
Yeah.
But according to the Berkshire grown people, they're just stumbling along kind of. It's not,
Okay, interesting.
I mean, everybody still shows up there, so they must be doing okay. But again, there's very little in the way of actual decent sized farm vendors at Lennox and West Stockbridge.
Well, and I think that, this points back to our original discussions about this of like, making it a right sizing the farmer's market so that we're not trying to compete with Great Barrington on a Saturday. We're not trying to like fill up the entire grounds here with stuff. And so I think that'll be the trick, is right sizing and making sure it's big enough to sustain, but not too small that it's, two people selling lemonade.
We were still thinking of something like Wednesday afternoons or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wednesday's the day that there's no markets
Right.
in the Berkshire.
Yeah, that's what we
So
kind of talked about.
if they have employees, they're not working on Wednesday at a farmer's market.
Right.
And if we can basically get known as the place where, if you really actually want food, go here. That
If that,
has a certain possible
Yes.
selling point itself.
And there's, in the mix of all this, was also the possibility of the mobile market, which is unknown at this time. The mobile market right now is going to be starting up in September or something. It's running for about 10 weeks, and it's only in 3 locations in the entire county. However, Stockbridge, or more specifically possibly Heaton Court, is on the list as a possibility for next year. The mobile market is mostly funded by the USDA. So they have to jump through USDA hoops. They can't just decide to show up.
And which farmers are
I
involved in
don't,
that?
well, I'm not, I think what happens on that, and again, since I believe what they're doing is Berkshire Grown would be gathering up food from wherever they can get it.
Yeah.
And then
It goes in.
goes out in a mobile vehicle. So it's not an individual
Yeah,
farmer or vendor in that case. And when I talk, the woman who runs it's called Alyssa. When I talked to Alyssa, if they can get approval, they certainly would set up a mobile market, and that would either be at Heaton Court or maybe here at the town hall. My understanding is that Stockbridge as a whole town is not on anybody's target list as being a hungry place, because there's other places that are more priority. But Heaton Court specifically
right.
was. And so it might have to be at Heaton Court. But the good news about the mobile market, from my understanding, is they're intending next year to start it throughout the summer and into the fall. So it's much longer.
Right.
But that's,
Right.
I'm throwing that out there because there's still a lot to know about that.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah.
and do the 640 grants, are they applicable for any of this?
That's what is the 640 grant?
640 grant,
Oh, that was the,
it's something to Tyson, I may know a little more. I thought they were grants to target certain populations.
yeah, and that was brought up by,
Patrick?
I think it was Patrick. So I can go back and find that email. I remember them saying that it was because of because the people that live here year round and based on their collective income average, they were like Heaton Court would be able to get some money for them to support that specific community. Because we have, 6,000 people come in the summertime, but that raises the average up over a certain threshold, then, but year-round residents, I think we're below a certain threshold for grants. So I'll have to find that email because I remember it was a while ago. Is that or, Carol sent me an email about it. But I think this is all, as far as I can see, all good news that we're actually getting food, already direct to people. And then the potential for a mobile market and a farmer's market next year. I think this is why I wanted to make sure that this got on the agenda today, because I knew you had said last time, we need to start talking in September, as Eric always has said, we gotta start talking early so they can start making the plans. And hopefully we can get an anchor. As far as I know from grounds too, I've gotten good feedback about possibilities of, as far back as all the way to the baseball courts. They're like, we took down the fence where there's room, there's a lot of possibility as it grows to put it in different spots, maybe around the facility here. Which that would be the next step to really, once we kind of confirm we have vendors, start mapping out where is it going to go?
Yeah, because then if we're going to go forward with it in 2024, somebody, either the town of Stockbridge or the Stockbridge Farmers Market, has to get on board with the actual systems, the payment systems. Because see, the anchor farmers, they have their own systems.
Yeah.
Like Indian Line Farm, when they come to Great Barrington, they can take everything. Snap, cash, Venmo, HIP, they can take every form of payment you can imagine, and people go direct to them and just pay. But the small vendors don't have that capability. And so the market itself has a certain amount of capability to process. Like, for instance, a person on Snap will go to a desk at the Barrington Market, and they will convert their Snap card into market tokens. And then all the little vendors will take the market tokens, even if they don't take Snap. So there's that sort of infrastructure that would have to be put in place, which of course we wouldn't do until we decide we're going forward. But there is that step that's going to have to happen if we're going to do that. Whereas the mobile market brings its own infrastructure with it. I'm just, just so you know that. I am not doing anything with the 640 thing because I've vaguely heard about it, and I assume that somebody else in the town of Stockbridge is dealing with it.
I'm assuming I just did a quick search. I think I found the email. And maybe this is what you were talking about. Justice 40. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, okay.
It's the Justice 40 initiative. This is from Carol Owens. And basically it designates areas. So Stockbridge is the only municipality, according to Carol, in the county qualified under the Justice 40 initiative. Pittsfield and North Adams only partially qualify. And basically medium full-time residents income is below 41,000. So this allows us for a certain range of federal grants that potentially Berkshire Bounty, Berkshire Grown, or whoever will market or someone could apply for federal money.
Could you forward that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
I mean, for what it's worth, when you talk to people, just, point out that this is a very high visibility location. And good access, but it's definitely high visibility. I mean,
What's high visibility, the town of Stockbridge is going to advertise it very well, apparently.
yeah,
And the no vendor fee is a good selling point. That's a really good selling point, actually. Yes. And we're asking people themselves, okay, what do you think? Do you think 4 weeks? Do you think 6 weeks? What do you want to do? Get some feedback there. Okay. Matt. you're pretty familiar with this book, right? Now, is there anybody that's not in this book that I should contact? Because I'm mostly running, aside from the people I see at the markets, I'm just running off this book.
Honestly, that might be the most comprehensive list of.
Yeah, I think it is. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be any more than that. And, you know, there are some low-key farms that may not be in there that I might know of that are just getting off the ground. But they're not anchor farms by any means. But there are definitely some people who are looking to distribute. You know, I have friends who are now raising heritage pigs for sausage, bacon, everything. So they're doing a little bit of that, but they aren't going to be, you know, having an entire station just to themselves. So there are some small things I think I can point them in your direction there because they're probably not in there. But
Okay.
for an anchor, I think, you know, making those cold calls and seeing who might want to come out. The other thing is too, if they have a CSA, you know, one thing is to think about, you know, especially if they say there is CSA in the book, is having 2 distributions if they're big enough. And some farms that have CSAs will distribute at a farmer's market. So people who have bought into the CSA will come to pick up their share at the farmer's market.
Okay.
Which can be a draw for the other vendors in the area. So that can also be used as an anchor. It'd be like, all right, I have 20 families gonna come pick up a share. You know, and it's nice, some people can't come on Saturdays to their pick, or, you know, they wanna have 2 offerings of pickup times for people. And then they'll come and buy some other things while they're there.
That's an interesting angle. Okay. All right. Check that
All
out.
right, and I just shared with everyone what Carol said, but I don't have any links or anything to share with that, but I'll do some digging.
I thought Patrick had sent it out.
Maybe,
I can-
yeah. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for coming.
The chair is very comfortable.
Better than those.
All right. Good. All right. Moving right along. Now on to the AFC mission statement. So I reshared with everyone Eric's and the previous one that we had been working on draft. And the more and more I read Eric's statement, draft, the more I've come to appreciate it. Because I think in a lot of ways, I find the specific and the general in it. And it goes back to, I think, the last time we had the discussion, Eric, where you brought up not getting so specific.
I liked it. I thought it covered all the bases. I was happy with it.
I went back to the bylaw that established us, and I'm struck by how much Eric's draft picks up that language. I'm
I'll tell you, I hadn't read the ordinance since before I got appointed. And it just makes sense if you're going to do agriculture, that's what you want to do, because keeping farmers and farmland in production is the best way to get local food.
And the bylaw goes from, you know, supporting agriculture and farming and forestry activities, you know, encourage the pursuit of agriculture and forestry, promote agricultural or forestry-based economic opportunities, and also it has to work for the preservation of agricultural and forest lands and to pursue the creation of a sustainable agricultural forestry community. So that whole, once we get to the, you know, sustainable thing, that leads us into the stuff that we've been all talking about that we, you know, care about beyond the commercial part. And I think that Eric's got it. One thing I wonder about with Eric's draft, engaging in practices that imitate nature. And I wonder if we could make that somehow more more clear to somebody who doesn't know what we're talking about. I'm not sure.
Okay, I took that directly off of the first
had come,
draft,
yeah, that-
but you didn't. I did
Yeah.
not check.
Yeah, and I think I picked that up just in readings, and I liked the wording, because it wasn't specific, but it just made reference to following nature's lead, basically, and not imposing. So I liked that wording, but I'm not, if people want to change it, that's fine too.
I,
Point of information, and I'll send it to you. There was a article in the New York Times that pointed out that the indigenous people in Western Canada forested by thinning, not clear cutting, and getting rid of all the debris on the forest floor. And guess what? The forest fire stopped right there.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard, that's what I had said in the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
That I'd like to see included in whatever stewardship plan comes up for Stockbridge Mountain, to get rid of the invasives on the forest floor to minimize fire.
Well, they're talking about, they got rid of the dead trees and everything else, and the forest fire stopped right there. Did not move into the town.
yeah,
So I'll send it out to you. That's, find that sort of interesting. That's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, no, that'd be really great. I mean, well, and the readings, and anecdotally, because I can't recall where I saw them for so long, but there was a lot of evidence that management by fire around here, but pre-colonizer, pre-settlement, they did use fire to clear the understory.
yeah.
To make sure that it didn't get too grown up, and also hunting was good, and then the berries, the flushes, everything would,
Yeah, it's on small scale and.
small scale manageable. Yeah, I think obviously we're in such a wet climate that there's evidence looking forward that we're going to be getting downpours, very fast rain downpour. So it's gonna be a lot of rain all at once, but then it's gonna be a long in between.
Right.
So catching that little bit in the soil, and then, okay, that's enough until 2 months later.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, going on a tangent there.
I see that when I first read that imitate nature in the original, I was thinking about changing it to support natural processes. Now, I don't know, that's a slightly different idea.
Well, the reason I really liked imitate nature, just because it is, maybe it's just a matter of if there's another word for imitate, mimic or something, I like how simple and concise it is.
I'm fine, I don't have a problem with it, I was just thinking.
Yeah.
I like it better than support natural.
Because
endeavors.
I think to Eric's point too, with like in the original, or Shelby with the original statement, where it just says sustainability. I think sustainability, the word has actually kind of lost a lot of meaning because it's over. Everything's sustainable now. And I think this doesn't use the word sustainable. It actually says how we're going to be sustainable by forest health, carbon sequestration, and imitating natural processes.
I like it. Nice work, Eric.
Yeah.
I didn't do the forest part. You guys did.
It's a good collaboration.
Yeah.
Nice work, everybody.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like,
So you did a lot of that.
yeah,
We all did. Yeah, we all did.
I think between me and Lisa throwing up on the page there, just whatever.
Yeah, well, you have to start
We got
somewhere.
somewhere. Good. I really, I think I don't want to make any moves right now, and I think let's sit with it for another sec, and then if there is any wordsmithing or just any other replacing words or anything like that, like if you want to just sit and think if something comes in your head, Shelby, about imitate nature, that phrase.
No, I'm good with that. Something just hit me, I'm looking at, all the different drafts we've had. And that The second part about it, encouraging efforts to maximize forest health and carbon sequestration. I wonder if we can add something to the effect of farmland, forest, and we want healthy soils too. We want healthy farmland ecosystems. I'm not quite sure how to put it. Because forest health and carbon sequestration is kind of its own bundle of stuff. We also would want to encourage practices or maximize the health of our farmland as well. I'm not quite sure how to say that.
Well, maybe it's because we have here the protection and preservation of farms, farmland, and forests. Maybe if we include, we put in soils, just add a fourth, farms, farmland, soils, and forests. Because I think those are, I mean, you got soils crosses over between farm and the forests.
Yeah.
But we want to protect the farms, we want to protect the farmland, people doing the agricultural, the actual land that it's on, and then the soils and the forest. So it's kind of like, I'm in my head, it's like 2 and 2, but they intermingle so
Yeah,
wholly.
Yeah, no, I think just adding it in there.
yeah, that'd be a very simple addition.
I think that would also relate to farther down when we mentioned carbon sequestration. So that would be relevant, I feel like.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Good.
all right.
all right.
But we can sit another month.
Well, let's set another month, if anything else pops in mind. And I think, we've condensed it all, but we've really made it concise now too. And I think eventually maybe down the line, we think about, whether we take a look later at that bylaw and making it match up with what we've been doing. Because I think this is it's really just taking that sustainability clause in the bylaw and saying exactly how we're being sustainable, by doing what Eric so succinctly put into a nice, neat, tidy, mission statement. Cool. All right. So finally, last little thing, looking forward, I don't want to lose our threads on composting and Ice Glen. I don't know if anything's happened since we last had that meeting.
No communication since May, but I'm wondering if we should get back in contact with Susan,
Yeah.
because we have some of that paperwork due in February to then submit by June.
Right,
And
So now
the earlier the better now that
And now
we're
would be
back.
time.
Right.
Because we missed the deadline last time, right?
Yeah, well, we
She
were,
came,
yeah.
it was just too,
right,
Yeah.
there wasn't enough time. But
Yeah.
yeah, getting her back in the fall would
would
be
we
great.
want to invite her to join us again?
Well, and I think too, we have to talk to Lauren DuPastor. And is it Mike probably? I think, didn't Susan say Mike, they had been talking?
They were working on it.
They were working on it, because I've noticed that there are movements at the transfer station. They are building a place for people to leave stuff, a swap shop. They're doing that right now, and they put the clothes collecting, which I think was all on that list.
Yeah.
So there is movement with the other stuff on that list.
Even if the organics part of the sheet, I remember there were lots of things on there. But even if we just want to start small, and like
Do a
dip our
little
toe in.
pilot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So let's, I think maybe we can set up a meeting with maybe me, Abby, and Mike and Lauren, see if we can all talk, and then we can get all on the same page, because I feel like they're doing stuff. And I don't want to like step, I just want to add
Yep, that's a good idea.
to what they're doing.
Maybe just being like, hey, can we help you with anything?
And the plan was to have it at the transfer station?
Well, I think that's what we got to talk to them about. You know, I know they just cleaned up everything and they made that nice little area for it with the flagpole.
We have to be careful
Right. I know they've been doing a lot of work.
about where it goes. 'Cause
Right.
That's wetlands, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And they just bring it into a park because they really don't want to have it, anything else done there.
Right. Exactly. So I think, you know, from my perspective, it's going to be a hauler hauling stuff out of there. We won't be actually composting on site. I mean, that's my guess based on the wetlands.
Be dropped off.
Things would be dropped off. There'd be bins in the collection.
Especially since we don't know how much stuff we're gonna get or what kind of stuff, and it has to be
Right.
mixed and it has to be put in the right kind of
Well, I think-
location, so,
yeah.
you know, we don't know what the
Well,
bulk.
were they looking at Meadow Farms to bring it to? I thought that's.
Well, I think it depends on who you go with, who's picking it up.
Hauler is.
Who the hauler is and who they've already worked out agreements. I think our main thing will be making sure that we're not stepping on toes. We're going out seeing, okay, like, do you want to do this? We'll help set this up. And then, you know, figuring out the education, because like you said, you know, there are hopefully, you know, a lot of the compost haulers are also educating as they go too, because they have to.
That was another thing we could have gotten points for, as well as doing education stuff, so,
Can do a library display.
yeah.
Yep.
So we can
Happy
definitely.
to help with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
And with the new town website, we might be able to get something posted there.
One thing, those compost bins that she was promoting, I talked to Chief Finley, who got an ordinance passed. If you have a bear attractant, which when I described the compost bins, they are a bear attractant, and they cause a problem, you will get a visit from the police. So I don't want anything to do with those bins.
Right. Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is you know, basically, if we just do education and actually have compost being collected, and we revisit the points, that might be more, you know, it might be enough to get us on the board, you know, where we wouldn't have to go through offering those bins. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I compost, I personally don't use a bin, and I just have a pile and I turn over with a pitchfork.
Yeah.
And I know that's what my dad does. But to that point, you know, the bear comes and helps me turn it over every once in a while. So I appreciate the bear. But if you're living in downtown
Or the
Stockbridge,
skunk or the raccoon.
or the skunk or the raccoon,
Raccoon.
big raccoon.
Raccoon I've ever seen. It's there every night, so.
So I hear that and don't want to get anyone in trouble.
I had a question on ice
One
cream.
other thing on
Yeah.
one other thing on compost. Tommy's composting, and full disclosure. I'm on a board and loan committee for Berkshire Agriculture Ventures, and we supplied loans for Mary to get a real truck. She takes yard waste. I just signed up because I'm tired of going to Meadow Farms
Right.
and going back in, so. I think it's like $21 a month. She picks it up twice a week, either compost, yard waste.
Yeah.
In fact, Riggs is one of her customers. So,
Yeah.
right by. So there are commercial people doing this,
Right.
and it's a heck of a lot more. All you got to do is, if it's a compost, I compost myself. I got a professional bin. But I don't in the winter, obviously, so. Just leave the thing out on the day you're supposed to do it. She empties it, closes it, and pick it up. I don't know,
Right.
that's pretty convenient and cheap.
Well, and I think, you know what, I mean, depending, you know, depending on how much we're expecting, you know, because I looked at a couple of the websites to see what in the realm of, you know, what does it cost for a bin to get picked up and stuff. I think too is, you know, we could potentially meet with someone, find out what they're thinking. You know, I forget what the limit is, but you know, if it's not over a certain budgetary item, the town can just say, okay, that's fine. We can work on that, without going for an RFP, request for proposals. But if it's massive, if everyone in town is gonna start composting, that might be a larger.
Well, and I'd be curious, because I thought she said Sheffield was doing it at their transfer
Sheffield,
station. So
yeah.
I'd be curious to hear what their process is.
Right.
I don't know what the process is.
Because someone like Tommy's could, you know, theoretically, I think Tommy's could handle it if we start small.
Yeah.
And then I think year to year, we'd have to, if it got really big and they really needed to up the ante, then we'd probably have to do an RFP. But let me talk to, maybe that would be a question for Michael, like how far we can recommend and who can we meet and talk to without, you know, causing issues.
And what's the green team,
What's the green team doing?
where
Yeah.
are they in this process?
Right, because I think that's honestly where besides talking about composting, I think it was in a Berkshire Eagle article where I think they were interviewing Tommy's Compost, Mary, about what she was doing and the advocacy that she was doing. So, which really got
I think that
the
was
wheels
in, I
thinking.
think that was in the Edge. I think that was in the Edge.
Yeah.
Once we have some firmer ideas about the different ways this can be handled, maybe we can do a little online survey, and put it on the website and advertise and put a link on it through Stockbridge updates and, you know, whatever, to see how many people might be interested.
Right.
If it were like this, would you use it? If it were like that, would you use it?
Yeah, because I think and this would be the thing where we have to get Mike Buffoni and Lauren, make sure they're not already doing the same work we're doing. But I can envision there being, you know, theoretically, you get your dump sticker and whatever math we can do to figure out how much it'd be, you know, tacking on a little bit of cost or getting a little bit different color sticker maybe. I don't know how that all works with the town when they're going out and getting the stickers every year. Maybe there is an extra cost, like $5 or whatever it is, ends up being for the entire year to compost at the transfer. Or we also can point to people to home pickup. If there's enough people signing up, then, you know, and there's haulers already coming through the area with other people, we can just promote that too. So there could be two ways of interacting.
So when you said earlier that you would want to meet with Mike, did you mean Mike before?
I think Mike Buffoni, I think that's who Susan said. We have to go back and look when she came, who she was already kind of in contact with. But it was definitely Laura, the green team. Yeah.
I have it in an email somewhere. There's lots of emails, so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we'll find that and maybe we'll figure out who to talk to. And maybe we can work on that together, Abigail, before the next meeting over September here.
yeah, let's do that.
All right. Ice Glen, you had a.
Just a quick question. When, I'm forgetting his name, came and spoke to us about the efficacy of the treatment. And do we know if he has gone out again or is he going out in the fall?
I don't know if he's gone out again. I know he had gone out right before that last, Ken, right before the last meeting there.
Because I was curious when he said most of the trees that were severely damaged already didn't make it. So I didn't know why you treated them. And my hope was he wouldn't, again, that he'd go for the moderately or less severe damaged in the hope of saving them.
Right.
Rather than the ones that we're going to lose anyway.
My impression from what he was saying before was that they're on a steep decline and that the ones, you know, since we started this,
Yeah.
the original now is going back, the original report, 4 years, Now is it 3 years?
Like 3 years.
3 years? Because that was like right before we all came together. My understanding is since that original report, we've been in the last 3 years pretty drought up until, July here, when we got 20 inches, 20 plus inches of rain. And it's been really muggy. So my inclination was that it was a combo effect of the infections, the drought scenario, and that they treated all the trees that we were looking at, but they were just going downhill too fast. So I think they went from moderate to severe pretty quickly. So I think at some point,
I thought he had said the ones
Yeah.
that were most severely damaged, they still treated and
Yeah.
didn't make it.
yeah,
Because they were at high risk,
Right.
moderate risk, and low risk, and it was a lot of the high-risk trees
Yeah.
that he treated that were lost.
yeah. Well, and I think it will, and not to put on him because he was the one, but I think that's what they did. I think they were
Tried
trying.
to save them.
Yeah,
But I would,
but,
if there's more treatment, I would recommend go for the moderate and
right,
less
the
severe,
less severe.
because it's so expensive.
Well, I think, and I think we haven't used up all the funds.
No, I didn't think we actually had treated all the hemlocks in the first place.
No, we didn't. No. So,
Save what we can.
yeah, I think I also, on that note too, is I think, I also got reached out, by a property owner around the bowl who, they got hemlocks that their, tree company that came and looked at were just riddled with woolly adelgid, and they're cutting some down. So not to bring up, but they are asking to come and actually like talk and find out
Tell
what they
them to
can
come
do.
to the Concom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think they've already been, they're just looking to see what to do next because now the trees are dying and falling and I think this goes back to the question we were having about what do they plant? What do we plant next? Because they're just like, they're coming down and they're coming down fast. So,
Rattlesnake Mountain Road is badly infested too.
yeah, yeah,
What's it in?
I know. Well, and I think that's the scary thing about all of this. When we start planting, because this will shape the next 400 years.
Or we let nature take its course.
True.
I don't know what's in the understory at Rattlesnake, but there's,
Same junk.
The same junk. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know it's not any better for all the mill trees, all the Scotch pines up north. A lot of them are coming due now and no one wants them. And they're all just getting, slowly starting to fall over in rows. So it's not like I want to do any row planting or anything like that, like they used to, but they're going to be running into it too, I think, the next few years. Anyway, Ice Glen, I just don't want to lose the thread on that. I think we'll find out when, I think they got to put it out to bid again, whatever money we have left, because I don't think the company wants to do it anymore. It is a very difficult location.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I know it's been a while since we've all met. I don't think there's anything new that we're forgetting right now.
Mr. Floric at the greenhouse has retired,
I heard.
which means
Yeah.
I don't know the status of those cuttings that were started last November. But I have the email of the woman who's stepping up, so I'm gonna get in contact. Just see, do they still exist? Or did they make it? And then if they didn't, maybe we talk about that.
Well, maybe reach out, introduce, and then maybe she can come and introduce herself so we can try to keep the knowledge.
Maybe she can join us at a meeting.
Yeah.
That would be great, so we can really meet her.
If you want to actually invite her to October,
October?
let's just invite her and see what the situation is.
Her name's April Hoskier, I think is her last name, so.
Perfect. All right.
Did you have anything or you're just joining us?
Listen,
Rattlesnake Road, that's what I got.
out around the bowl.
And the bowl.
We go on site visits, we turn over a branch and there they are.
There,
Yeah.
there, yeah.
It's like the elm trees. You won't kill every single one,
Yeah,
but it's gonna take generations before they'll.
Right,
yeah,
right,
populate.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, on that sad note, not hearing any other thoughts. Our next meeting, we'll do it in October
October 2nd is the first
first.
Monday.
Does that sound good to everybody?
I will not be able to attend, but it's okay. I can do without you.
Well, oh, then Columbus Day is next weekend.
No, yeah, I wouldn't be able to come until the 23rd.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if,
No, actually, I could come on the 16th.
and I think the 16th is conclusive bog. Is that the third Monday?
Yeah,
Which
Of
it
October.
would be, yeah, it would be tight. I can't do the 16th.
well,
Tell him about me and I'll send you the minutes format thing too.
gotcha. Well, yeah. Because the 25th is the weekend before, but is that too soon? If we did in September, at the end of
That's
September,
okay with me.
since we're doing it at the end of
Okay,
So it's 25th.
25th, Eric? And it's Yom
Let me
Kippur.
check.
I could do that.
And I'll just let Stuart know.
And make sure the room is,
And I'll double check,
Is the 25th Yom Kippur?
it is Yom Kippur. Is they-
We shouldn't be holding a meeting on that day.
All right. That's fair. Then let's do the second. Let's just do the second. If we get the notes from October 2nd or from,
Yeah, I can set up the meeting, the minutes, because you'll have sent out the agenda ahead of time, and I can just use that, like I always do, just to set up the minutes, and I can hand it over so that somebody else can fill them in.
perfect. Yeah. All right, so October 2nd, we'll do it. We'll miss Shelby,
we'll
but
miss you, Shirley.
Thank you.
But we hope you're having fun.
and with that, I'll make a motion to close the meeting. Do I hear a second?
Okay.
Right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.